You're watching Profiles with Scott Birmingham. This week's guest, Bill Frankmore, morning anchor. Hi, and welcome to a brand new webcast of Profiles. I'm your host, Scott Birmingham, and today, it's almost unfair for me today because I'm going to be interviewing a good friend of mine who several years ago, before I actually started working here, I met him and his wife at a media function, and I just really remembered how nice him and his wife were. You're wondering, who are we talking about? Well, this is the person who anchors our morning show and our noon show, and for the noon show, he especially has to put on the producer's cap, and we're catching him actually literally right before he goes out to do a story. I want to present to you Bill Frankmore, our morning anchor, our afternoon anchor. Every time someone needs to fill in, Bill's here to do it.
All righty, Scott. Thanks so much
Bill.
for having me. My pleasure.
I know you're minutes away from having to leave right now, so we're kind of getting you on the fly.
No worries, no hurries, no hurries.
Tell me, I'm curious, Shelby Sheehan is your wife, for those who may or may not know that.
And she's the one who was probably nicer to you than I was when we met with that media function. That would just be my first guess. I mean, I try to be not a jerk, but she's out of this world nice. I think you'll agree.
Tell me how you guys coordinate your schedules, because she does the nighttime, and now I think her schedule for that has changed slightly. Talk to us a little about how you coordinate the kids, because you have two kids, two beautiful boys, your kids and the work. I mean, it has to be challenging.
I always tell people it's kind of like one of those wheels where everything can run smoothly as long as nothing gets in the way. An extra shoot at work, an extra event that Shelby or myself has to MC, a doctor's appointment. Then it gets tricky because we kind of are on the opposite schedules. Shelby began on the evening news. We used to anchor the morning show together for like 5 years. This was like 2000 to 2005, or I'm sorry, 1999 to 2004, somewhere around in there. But after that, she moved to the evenings, and we were on opposite schedules, and then we started a family. And it has been extremely tough. We were almost passing ships in the night, really. She would come home for her dinner break. I'd see her for a half hour when I came home from work, about 1 in the afternoon. Then she'd go to work, and then she'd come home for dinner. I'd see her for about an hour. She would kind of put myself and the kids to bed around 9-ish. And then she would head back for the 11. But the past couple of months, we reworked her schedule where she does not have to do the 11 p.m. newscast, and that's just made our lives a lot easier. We're very happy about
miracle worker there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot easier now. So she's happier, I'm happier, the kids are happier. Mom doesn't have to go back at work to do the 11, so all is well. Did
you guys have to take some time to plan all that out and how it was really going to work structure-wise?
Oh, yeah.
Making sure the kids are going to be covered as far as having a mom or dad there with them?
Yeah. The good thing is there was always about an hour leeway from the time I got home and the time she had to go to work. And then, of course, I would be home after 1, so if she had to leave for something, I would always be with the kids. But it definitely took some planning for sure.
Well, it must be kind of cool for the kids to be able to watch Mom. You're in the morning, so they're probably not up that early.
No.
But at least for the noon, maybe they're in school. But having both parents involved in television.
I think they're so used to it. I think that they honestly think that everybody's mommy and daddy are on TV. The first time that my kids have really, that I've noticed that they've actually watched TV is this little funny Olympic commercial that our good friend Brian Sheetal has done.
Yeah, very cute.
Very funny, where daddy's, running up and down and training to cover the Olympics, so to speak. That's the first time that they've really gotten a kick out of watching dad on TV. And when mom, I always have Channel 4 on in the evening and the late afternoon, and they don't even notice it, to be honest with you. I think they honestly think that everybody's mommy and daddy's on TV because they don't know any different.
That's funny you say that. My 13-year-old daughter, when something's happened like in the film industry, I'll say, Dad knows that person. And my daughter will, well, how come you're not a celebrity then?
Oh, you are. Don't sell yourself short. Don't let her do that to you.
I'll say, Bill Frankmore's my friend.
That works too. That'll always work as well.
We were talking with Joe about the fire, the Cullen fire.
Yeah.
Not to spend too much time on it, but especially, with him, it was his house and how personal that was. And now, using that as an example for you and Shelby, you both are going to be covering it any kind of a fire that's taking a day or two, because all of a sudden we go into almost like 24-hour mode here.
Yeah.
It's not the regular 9 to 5. Is it that much tougher when you guys have to do cover a fire and stuff like that?
I can't even explain how much tougher it is. you do something like that, the wall-to-wall coverage where you're not taking any commercial breaks and you're on the air for 6, 7 hours at a time, I don't want to give away any secrets, but you literally run out of things to say, you know, that you're not repeating that you've already said hundreds and hundreds of times, and you've got to get extremely creative. You've got to be doing research on the laptop, but after about 4 or 5 hours, you honestly run the risk of your brain short-circuiting. That's what Shelby and I talk about. It's like, you know, I'm totally out of words. It's a tough situation to cover because you know it affects so many people, and you have to give them that information, and it's just kind of heavy to watch people lose their homes and that kind of stuff. And you have the same, the breaking news when we had the Galloping Ghost tragedy, when we had the shooting at the IHOP in Carson City. They're very tough stories to cover, but covering them is one thing, but when you're living it and you're watching every second of this story develop, it's heavy and it has an emotional impact on you too.
Well, let me change gears just for a second and staying with news. Did you always know that you wanted to do news and had an idea that this was going to be what Bill Frankmore did?
I always wanted to be a running back for the Denver Broncos.
No.
And I started out being a fairly good-sized kid. You know, I think I was 5'7", 150 pounds, and I was in 8th grade. And then I was 5'7", 150 pounds, and I graduated from high school. Did play high school football, but that's about the most of it there. And so I went to the next best thing. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster. In fact, I even, on career day, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade, I went to the Channel 9, the NBC affiliate in Denver, KUSA, and did a career day with an old Denver Bronco who was a sportscaster. His name was Butch Johnson. And I knew right then that after my playing days were over with the Broncos, I wanted to be a sports anchor. Of course, those playing days with the Broncos never materialized, but I started doing sports. You know, I stuck to it, did sports right out of college in a little town called Scottsbluff, Nebraska, and my news director there encouraged me to switch to news. She said there are more jobs in news. News jobs pay better. Sorry, Samudio. That's just what she told me. And so I gave it a try, and that way I kept sports as kind of my hobby, you know, and I wasn't just totally overwhelmed with sports where I would get sick of it. So now I still love sports as much as ever, and I love news the same. And it's just a different kind of love, I guess. And with sports, I can watch it all day long. I can do it all day long. I can play golf, play baseball with the kids, coach their baseball teams. But then with news, it just seems more of a job that I love opposed to the hobby type of sports.
Do you love doing the morning show because it allows you to get out? I like it because I get out early. You know, 12:30 to me is nice. I have the rest of the day really to do. And it's a schedule I kind of prefer doing. You know,
it helps with the kids, and I don't know many dads who can spend all afternoon in the summers with their kids and take them fishing, take them to go play golf, throw the ball around, take them swimming, water park, whatever. So the opportunity for me to spend so much time with my boys and do fun father-son stuff with them is it's totally worth it. I mean, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I never get used to that. People ask me all the time, do you ever get used to it? I'm like, no, it's like a shock to your system. I've got 3 alarm clocks set up, 2 clock things, and then after I hit snooze on those, I have to put my trusty iPhone alarm, I put that in the bathroom, so I actually have to get out of bed to turn that one off. So it's something you never get used to. It's painful. It's literally painful to get up. And you know this, you know as well as I do, editing that morning show too.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this last question and kind of give people a preview of what Bill Frankmore's day is. And this week is kind of unfair because we're going through Olympics, so we don't have the noon to deal with right now. But giving people
we'll say next week.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
For a story like your story you're about to go do, what do you have to do to go get this story done?
Well, usually I'm not reporting. Usually I'm producing the noon, as you know. So when I get done with the morning show, just to give you kind of the day in the life, I guess you can call it, I get in here around 4, go over the morning show, you know, during that hour, shave, all that kind of stuff, try to make myself presentable for the morning show, and then anchor the morning show from 5 to 7, and then immediately afterwards, I'm scouring the wires, even a little bit during the show, scouring the wires, looking over papers, news releases, what's going on today, and then I will produce the noon show. When I say produce, I'll stack it, find which stories I want to cover, try and snag me a reporter or two to cover those stories
You
for
do
me.
some great juggling with that.
Well, thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
It's really good.
And then I'll put in some national stories as well and produce the noon, anchor the noon, and then I'm done. But it's one of those things where you don't have very much downtime. You're always moving, and your days go by fast, and they're always exciting, and each day is different. So today I'm actually reporting, doing the story on the USDA approving a $105 million loan for advanced biofuels. That's that plant that they're planning to turn trash into energy. So that should be interesting, and I'm going to be leaving in a couple minutes.
And just to make sure you get out the door.
I know.
Hey, Bill, thank
I'm
you
already
so
dressed
much
for it.
for coming on.
My pleasure, Scott. It's a pleasure
It's
working
always
with you.
fun.
Always has been.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
You betcha.
that. Well, this is Scott Birmingham, and you're enjoying another exciting, fun-filled action segment of Profiles.
I was more excited.